today's tip. So we've talked about the why. We've talked about, sleep habits and better sleep tips. Today's topic is something, and I think we've said this before. I spent 5 years formally in the fitness industry. Years before that, I was in internships and things like that. Wasn't getting paid, but I've been in the fitness industry, for 10 to 12 years, something like that total, I think is what it ended up to be. And the number one thing that always gets brought up is nutrition. By far and away, nutrition is the number one thing that I ever heard people talk about. And now that I'm in an office, now that we're in an office, still to this day, that's the number one thing on most people's mind. What do I eat?
Yeah.
And more specifically, people are asking, what diet do I follow?
Yeah.
So when I say the word diet, David, you can feel free to jump in on this as well. What do you think of when you think of the word diet?
A finite period of time. There's a start and there's a finish. When I think of diet, right? Yeah. It's like I've got to whatever platform, whatever method you choose, right? I don't want to say what diet you choose, but really like whatever you choose. Okay, hey, I start January 1st and I've got vacation on May 13th. And like, that's the period that I'm focused on.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think of when I hear diet. And I think of the word fad comes in always. Like, what's the newest and, what's going to lose it the quickest and what's the easiest. Like, to me, and I apologize. And that's why I think this is where you're going to go with it. Like, diet has a very negative connotation to it, right? It correlates to struggle. It correlates to pain. It correlates to uncomfort. But to me, it correlates to, honestly, like laziness.
Yeah.
And like quick fix.
I'm glad you said that because that's something I want to touch on. David, anything to add there? Is that what you're not, you're kind of in the same boat as us now in the office world where we're not super entrenched in fitness, but what do you think about when you think of your
once
diet?
I get to a certain weight, then the floodgates are open and and it's over.
So diet is more about a process, and then once you get to that certain goal, whatever goal you had in mind, then you're done with it, and now you can go back to doing whatever you're doing.
Yep.
Got it. That's what most people think.
Yeah.
And that's when you think of diet, like you said, Tyler, you think of this period of time, this beginning and this end of your food style. And there's tons of diets out there, right? You've got paleo, you've got keto, you've got if it fits your macros, if you've got Whole30, there's tons and tons of diets out there. And so how do you know when you've got all these diets that you can follow, how do you know which one is the right one for you? So before we get there, I want to establish that, like you're saying, Tyler, diet doesn't necessarily mean weight loss. It's your overall eating plan. How do you eat? That is your diet. But we always go towards thinking about the weight loss when we think about diet. So that's what we're going to focus on. There's 100 different directions.
People will say, right, like, oh, I'm on a diet.
Right.
No, you're always on a diet.
It's like saying I'm drinking a Coke, but you really have a Dr. Pepper. What you're saying is, I'm on a diet. What you're really meaning is I'm trying to lose weight.
Yes.
Right. That's the goal, is I'm trying to lose weight. Whereas diet really is your overall eating plan and how you eat. And so with all these different diets out there, really, and what you said a second ago, what always comes to my mind is, okay, what is this person trying to get out of this? Why are they looking for the perfect, quote unquote, diet? Are they looking for a quick fix? Are they looking for quick weight loss? What is it that's in it for them when they think of going on a diet, and why they want to choose it? Because everybody wants the perfect diet.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody wants that diet that's going to do, for whatever reason, we think this keto diet, that's what's going to put me over the edge. That's what's going to get me to my goals. That's what's going to give me all this weight loss. And that's great. If you want to follow keto, go for it. If you want to follow carnivore, go for it. If you want to follow Whole30, whatever. I guess my point would be, when thinking about whatever the best diet is for you, to me, it's pretty simple. What's the one that you can stick to?
Yeah. Now,
it's that simple.
No, and clarify, what do you mean when you say stick to? Like stick to for a year, stick to for 6 months? I'm talking about the diet. Stick to for...
I get that there's phases, and it definitely is a phase where you're wanting to lose 10 pounds.
Yeah.
But when I think of diet, I think of overall, what's my eating style? If I think of I'm 34 years old and I'm going to live till I'm 90, am I going to really follow a ketogenic diet that long? So what you've got to establish is, if I'm going to go on one of these fad diets or these plans that are great, they've all got their pros and cons. If I'm going to do that, I've got to think long term. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's phases of time where I need to restrict and be super, watch what I'm eating. But what can I really stick to long term? Because a diet, there's no magic in keto versus carnivore versus, from a weight loss perspective, there's no magic other than you're putting yourself in a caloric restriction.
Yep.
So yes, keto maybe there's health benefits outside of, but when most people think of diet, they think of weight loss.
Yeah.
And there's no magic diet out there that's going to help you lose weight more so than another diet if you're still in a caloric surplus. And what does that mean? That means the calories you consume versus the calories that you expend.
Yeah.
And there's multiple ways that you expend calories: through fitness, through just daily activity, through digestion, and then through so there's multiple ways that you can burn calories. And then the calories that you consume, if that balance is off, if you're consuming more than you burn, you're going to gain weight. If you're consuming less than you burn, you're going to lose weight. It's just a simple math there.
Right.
So how you get there is up to you, right? There's no magic about keto that's all of a sudden going to make me lose an extra 10 pounds that carnivore couldn't if my calories are the same.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And that's one thing. And a previous guest of ours, Dr. Elaine Norton, if you follow him on Instagram, it's BioLane. And one of the things he's a huge advocate about, right, is one, he's about science. He's about, what does the research actually say? And like you said, people are thinking, okay, hey, this keto, right? Because I'm going to burn fat instead of carbohydrates, and I'm going to use fat as energy, and that's what I want. Is I want to learn. Look, there may be some science behind being in ketosis, right? There may be, okay, look, there is a process from your digestion and metabolism that, yes, that is true. But like you said, is ultimately, if you eat 6,000 calories of proteins and fats, it's really hard to lose weight when you're only burning 4,000 because calories are calories.
Right.
Calories are ultimately what turn into body fat, right? And that's one thing that Elaine Norton always talks about. He's like, look, you can pick this. You can pick this. He's like agnostic about it all. He's like, look, I'm not saying keto is better than this, that this is this. Ultimately, it comes down to calories. He's very, very, very like educated and detail oriented. But what I love about him, man, is he simplifies it to say, hey, look, it ultimately is about calories, when and how, what calories you consume. Because one of the things that I've heard him say before is like, look, if you need 300 calories, you can get 300 calories from a Pop-Tart, or you can get 300 calories from a chicken breast. Now, the difference is you're not getting the nutritional value out of the Pop-Tarts.
Right.
But if that's all and you're going to feel left unsatisfied and you're going to be hungrier, right? But that's 300 calories and 300 calories. Yep. You're going to have the same weight loss if you're still in a deficit. You're going to have the same weight loss as if you eat 300 calories of a chicken breast, right? Yep. And you have the same calories through the day. But you're just not going to receive the nutritional benefits from a Pop-Tart than you are. Those are empty calories.
Yep.
That's what that is. And so one of the things that you said is from a sustainable standpoint, what can you do to create your forever diet, right? What is it? And sometimes you have to play with it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's forms of keto. Maybe it's forms of vegan. Maybe it's whatever it is for you that is like, okay, look, this is something I'm going to implement, and I'm going to implement a sustainable approach to it. It's not, hey, I typically consume 3,000 calories a day, and now I'm going to go to 600 calories a day. That's not sustainable. You can't do it. So you may be able to do it for 2 weeks and be uncomfortable for 2 weeks, but you're never, ever going to. And so there's sustainable and then there's discipline, right? And those have to work together because, yes, if you are going to change something, you are going to choose a diet where I want different results than what I currently have right now, whether from a functionality standpoint, from an aesthetic standpoint, from a longevity standpoint, whatever reason you're doing this diet is, okay, I've got a couple: consistency, sustainability, and discipline, like through that. And what is it? And it takes work. And that's why I say discipline, because you actually have to be aware, and you can't just, okay, and I'm guilty of this right at the office. It's like, oh man, I'm hungry. I'm going to go grab some corn nuts, and then I'm going to grab a little Hershey's chocolate bar. And it's like, no, like you've got to have a plan going forward. And anybody that is successful in any type of nutritional regimen is they think ahead, they plan ahead. They're not just reactive about it, because that's when you're getting all of these calories that you just are unaware of. You may think, okay, hey, I had a good breakfast, I had a good lunch, or a small lunch, and I'm really good. And then I got really hungry and I snacked all afternoon, and I took 1,500 calories that I didn't even plan on. And then I had a healthy dinner. I'm like, why aren't I losing weight? Well, it ultimately is, what are you doing? And if you're not planning and you're not creating something that, okay, look, this is a regimen that I follow. Look, and you don't have to be perfect. That's one thing I'm sure you're going to talk about, because you don't have to be perfect. But if I can follow it over the long haul, right, those are the results that I'm going to see. Yeah. And I think that's one thing too is setting expectations correctly. And one of the things that you do really well. So Ben's not going to say this, but Ben is our wellness coach for our company, our real estate company. So he comes in and he does wellness, like somewhat similar to this, maybe an abbreviated version, but like, hey, look, here are some things, and implements health challenges, because our leadership at our company is just really big on just overall wellness, right? Like employees that are happy, they're healthy, that have resources, all those things. And so that's what he does for our company, on top of his actual day job. But one of the things that you talk about is like, don't try to reach your results in 4 weeks or 6 weeks. Look, set this out. This is a year-long process, and I'm going to create habits that now go for 10 years, for 20 years, for 40 years, whatever it is. Because if you lose 2 pounds a week for a year and you're overweight, that's over 100 pounds in a year. That is you walking in the door a year later and nobody recognizing you.
Yeah.
If you do 2 pounds a week, not trying to do,
a lot.
It's a lot. That's what I'm saying. But that's not, I got to lose a pound a day, or I got to lose 30 pounds in a month.
Yep.
Right? Like that's 2 pounds a week is it's a big number. I get it. Right. That's essentially 8 to 10 pounds a month. But setting realistic goals, but then also not being so harsh on yourself, giving yourself forgiveness. One thing I think that we do as people is we treat ourselves like dogs when it comes to food. Like we reward ourselves. Oh, we had a really hard workout. I deserve this pizza. I'm rewarding myself with this bowl of ice cream, or I'm rewarding myself with this. Like, don't think of it that way. Like, look, if you would like a bowl of ice cream, okay, I understand that I would like a treat. Okay. But don't let that reward take you off track of your long-term goals. Yeah. You know what I mean? And don't think of it as like, I'm rewarding myself, because now you're putting this responsibility on food as a reward, rather than, okay, now I look at it as, look, food is all that is a resource for my body. It's not anything else. The reason that we consume food is so that I can perform as a human.
Yeah. And in the context of what we're talking about, weight loss specifically, there are going to be phases of time where you are going to have to restrict calories. So so you talked about earlier, Pop-Tart versus chicken breast. From a health perspective, the choice is obvious. I'm going to go with the chicken breast. Yeah. But the point is, most of us think of weight loss. There's no magic in any of these diets. The magic is you're eating less calories than you're burning. That's the magic. Now, if you want to talk about overall health, that's a different conversation, right? So this conversation, this particular topic of weight loss, it doesn't matter what diet you follow, as long as you're in a caloric restriction, you're going to lose weight, and it's going to be great for you. Now, understand, that's not something that you can sustain forever. Yeah. Weight loss is supposed to be done in phases. It's not supposed to be this perpetual, endless cycle that you go through, that you're constantly trying to lose weight.
Will I lose 50 pounds a year for the rest of my life? No, it's impossible.
Nor would that be healthy. Weight loss is not healthy. The body does not want to lose weight. It's stressful, right? So it's meant to be done in phases. So what do you do after that phase? That's your dietary lifestyle. That's your regimen. That's what we're talking about. Find something that works for you, that you can sustain. If you want to follow keto for 8 weeks, which, by the way, it's really hard to actually follow keto. Yeah. You've got to wear a blood monitor and everything to really, truly be in ketosis. Yeah. Most people do a modified, poor man's version that they never actually get. Anyway, that's a side tangent. Whatever it is you want to follow, that's fine. But think about, once you're done with that diet phase, think about overall, what can I really, truly sustain? Because most people, 90% of people that lose weight end up gaining it back.
Yeah.
Because they're not doing things that are going to be sustainable long term.
Yeah.
So to wrap this up, what are your what are your personal food preferences? What foods does your body react best to? And what diet can you follow long enough to see results? Those are the things that I think people should factor in whenever they're considering how do I want to eat. And so for me personally, I call it the 90-10 rule, the 90-10 diet. 90% of the time, I'm going to eat some sort of protein, eat some sort of vegetable or fruit, and I'm going to eat some sort of quote unquote healthy starchy carbs. So rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, things like that. That's going to be my diet 90% of the time. 10% of the time, I'm going to drink a milkshake. I'm going to eat French fries. I'm going to do whatever I want. And so to me,
French fries don't fall in the healthy starches.
Yeah, sorry. So to me, I understand, maybe those aren't the healthiest choices, but for me personally, that's a if I just completely try to restrict those and never eat those again, that's not realistic.
That's right.
So I'm allowing myself those things every now and then, as long as I'm making good choices 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to me, it's unrealistic for me to say I'm going to follow a ketogenic diet.
Yeah.
That's unrealistic for me.
Yep.
So the best diet for you is the one that you can follow.
That's right.
And I know that's not a sexy answer.
No.
I know everybody wants that magic, because that's what we're looking for, the shortcut ultimately, right? Yep. We're looking for that magic bullet. There is no magic bullet.
Nope.
What works for you? That's what you need to think about when you're thinking about what's the best diet for
One
me.
thing that you did say, and as we wrap it up, and I think the clean transition of this conversation to our next is listen to your body too. I think people's bodies are changing. For example, for me, dairy is something recently that my body it's been harder to digest. So like cheeses, creams, so whether it's ice cream, like I have like a hangover if I eat ice cream. I literally, my body, I feel like I'm hungover if I've had ice cream. So listen to your body, right? And understand how your body, how it thrives. What foods can you put in your body? When I'm really big on fruits and vegetables, when I'm really consistent with those, like in supplement to proteins and like you said, starches, like my body performs better. I sleep better. I like listen to your body. Your body will tell it. And then don't ignore those things. Like there's a reason your body is reacting that way. Look, and then you can go down all these rabbit holes about, I don't say rabbit holes because it's really important, but I mean like with gut health and enzymes and microbes and all these things about digestion and all that. But first and foremost, listen to your body, and your body is going to tell you what it likes and what it needs for fuel to perform well.
Yeah. Yeah. And you may hear that, and you hear Tyler saying, he doesn't eat dairy anymore. Oh, but
no, I'm not saying I don't.
Well, then I shouldn't eat dairy. No, that's not what maybe you do just fine with dairy.
Yeah.
So whatever you hear, take it with a grain of salt.
That's
like
right.
Tyler's saying, it's about your body. It's not about somebody else's or what. Now, of course, take guidelines and take advice, but ultimately at the end of the day is what's best for you. What can you sustainably follow for literally the rest of your life?
Yeah.
And if you're looking for resources as we wrap this up, Dr. Elaine Norton, who Tyler mentioned, and his wife, Holly Baxter.
Yeah.
They were actually guests, episodes 39 and 41. Now the sound quality is pretty horrible back then.
We didn't have David.
So maybe
we
don't
didn't
go
have
back
Snacks
and,
Media.
Maybe don't go back and listen to those. But they are two of my favorite resources. Another one I like is Alan Aragon. Have you ever heard of Alan Aragon?
Yeah, you've sent me some of his stuff.
So his website is alanaragon.com, because, and let me caveat with these resources, these are ones that I've found over the years that would be the most trustworthy.
Yeah.
These guys are relying on the data.
Yeah.
They're not being emotional about their advice, like some people. They're not getting religious about their advice. These are guys that are looking at the data. Exactly.
About a certain.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the last one, and this one you've probably never heard of. If you really want to get nerdy about nutrition, like really nerdy, this guy's name is Lyle McDonald. I'm pretty sure he's autistic. And so, how with autism, like they pick a.
I can't say that.
Well, there's an avenue that they are really, really, really immersed into.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, his is nutrition. And so he is one of the smartest nutrition minds I've ever experienced. Now, again, he's going down to the molecular. He's getting super nerdy with this. So if that's
who's
too
the guy, who's
over
the guy
your
in
head.
Austin that you sent?
In Austin?
Yeah. He's a guy down in Austin. We'll share this link when we do this. We'll share some resources in our post. But there's a guy Yeah.
Anyway, so Lyle McDonald, his website is bodyrecomposition.com. Again, it's heavy material. Like he goes in depth, but if you can digest it, no pun intended, it's really good information that he's putting out there because he is that invested. So those are four of my favorite resources: Dr. Elaine Norton, Holly Baxter, Alan Aragon, and Lyle McDonald. And there's there's also tons of crappy.
I was going to say my
advice.
suggestions are just hop on YouTube and any ad that pops up, it's truth. So just make sure you listen to those guys.
Be careful
if he has his shirt off and he's in the gym, he's probably a respectable source.
Usually my rule of thumb is if Dr. Elaine Norton says it, I'm gonna trust that advice. Yeah. So anyway, thank you to Sleep Number